All right. See if we're back. Looks like it. Let's open up the YouTube so we can see the chat there. We see the two games we were following before have already reached their conclusions. And looking at the final position of Prague versus Sevian, I think we predicted that position, didn't we? Go. YouTube. All right. So first, let's look at the Prague game real quick because I think we know exactly how this game ended. Look at this. Rookie won. He thought 22 minutes. Didn't find anything better than this. Knight d4 is going to lead to a straight draw after knight f6, which he does play. Technically, maybe queen g4, queen c3 could also be played, but he goes for knight f6 here, here. Nice point that, you know, pawn takes f6, queen g4 is very good for white, but Sevian just goes like this, liquidates everything. Here, I'd played h4, I'd seen that g3 would be similar, and that's the final position. Clear enough. Most of them are, Daniel. Most of them are. You have to check today's early broadcast for an exhaustive discussion. Not exhaustive, but a more complete discussion on the subject. But having discussed it once, I'm not going to rediscuss it 2 hours later. Okay. So that was that game. Let's see if there are any other games still going. Oh, Gukesh and Vachier are still playing. Cool. Let's put Wesley and Ali Reza down here. And let's go look at how the Fabiano game went. As I was swimming in the pool, I was thinking, like, maybe b5 has already flipped the evaluation on white. Like, maybe black's already just killing. Just killing. The position is very sharp, so, you know, it can go quickly from advantageous to losing and skip equality completely in between. Right, so he continues his plan with h4. He thought 20 minutes about this. Fabi just did what he had to do. Gave a check, took a knight. Clearing the way for rook h7, which doesn't really do anything. A trade, a trade, a trade, a check. Whoa, the queen can come in here too. Okay. Sorry. The point of bishop f5 was to get the bishop off this diagonal so the queen could come in and mate. So rook h8 gives the king a flight square. Threatening rook f7. Natural would be queen g6. I'm not sure queen g6 threatens anything, but it also allows queen e4 check. Trading queens. So here. So if queen e4, he could take here. I guess he doesn't take the knight because of just queen takes knight. So that knight moves to f6, and then he just resigns. Rook f7, king g8, etc. Well, Fabi's still with all his time on the clock. Easy game for him. Bam. Three losses for Noterbeck already. Caruana 3 out of 4 into first place. Sevian getting in on the Super GM action, 4 draws in a row against top players. dog is going to have 2.5 out of 4 now. Aronian also 2.5 out of 4 with a quick draw today. Gukesh is still playing. MVL is still playing. So, and Ali Reza are still playing. Okay. Let's check out Gukesh's game. Looks like Maxime is slightly better. So we're just going to put in a first guess of the evaluation just on sight. I mean, 0 variations calculated. Just on sight. Extra pawn island for white. Some pawns stuck on light squares. Ooh, Wesley's up in exchange, but black is, you know, pretty impressive here. Threatening rook f7, probably encouraging bishop e6. Should send us to a rook endgame. An alternative would be going after the h pawn. Then black can take, hitting the bishop. Bishop recovers a pawn, check. Bishop here, here. Now you're contending with 2 connected passed pawns. You're probably losing as white, right? So bishop c4. He's played quickly, so he's played the obvious move. Bishop e6. Into the rook ending we go. I think my evaluation was about right here. Rook f4, rook b5, rook f3, king e5, rook f5 check, king d4. Not obvious. Not obvious how to defend for white. Gukesh has played quickly. So b3 won't be with check. Makes use of the king. Ideas takes. King h5. And then the king's well placed for the g pawn to be counterplay if your queenside falls apart. So for example, let's say black goes after this pawn. You know, do we want to play rook b1? Rook f3 loses to rook takes, pawn takes, king f5, by the way. Do we want to play a passive rook b1? No. We want to, you know, just hope for fast enough counterplay with this, I think. And it's fast enough that I think white might draw against these pawns here. That's my instinct. Fachier going to think a little bit. They're close to move 40 with plenty of time, both of them. If black doesn't take on e4, though, they're not doing very much. I suppose you could play moves like a5. That would strengthen black's position a little bit. Yeah. Just be a little closer to queening at some point. But if you go a5 and white goes rook f4, this kind of move is kind of pointless now. So maybe you just do something like this. Yeah, I did Skibix. Cheers, Ibrahim. It was a quick end, wasn't it, Skibix? Poor Noterbeck. Having a rough time. I just saw a little video on YouTube just 1 or 2 days ago from in which Geary is talking about the top players, and he says, you know, Noterbeck will fall out of the top 10 and he'll come back into the top 10 and he'll fall out of the top 10. And you know, I thought, well, that's like a rough prediction for Noterbeck. He seems very good to fall out of the top 10, but I guess it's possible. He could fall out of it by the end of this tournament if the second half goes like the first half, right? Is he an emotional player? Yeah, seems so. Yeah. He's also a good player. You know, I wouldn't expect him to basically ever lose. Wow, Aravind lost another game today. Down, down, down. Ay, 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 ay. Okay, Maxime played a more straightforward continuation. He went straight for check, check, takes, rookie 3. Now they've made time control. On the other board, they've made a draw. By repetition, knight f4, knight d3. White defending that pawn. So Wesley and Firouzja draw. I didn't even get a chance to evaluate who's better or why here. With the king here, I guess White's threatening b3, activating the rooks. That's why he moves the knight, huh? And then he comes back. Can White play b3 anyway? Takes, rook c3. It doesn't seem like White's really risking anything here. Kudos to you, Brosinger. Is Gukesh lost? I was kind of guessing that g4, rook b3, g5 would be a draw, like enough counterplay. Oh my god, he played the passive move. Only thought 3 minutes on it. He's got an extra 30 minutes that isn't showing on his clock. Maxime also has 50 minutes now. And he traps his king over here. I guess now he's going to play king here to try and free the king and get the g-pawn going again anyway. Hey, Pizza Racer. King h4. Yeah, it looked bad to go passive like this, but maybe it doesn't matter. Right? If the rook keeps your king trapped here, then it's off this pawn. You can check the king away and get back to work with your g-pawn without even giving up the b-pawn. So he's going to give check here for now and then transfer over to b4 to keep the rook passive. Now if g4 check, if g4 check, the rook can just take it. Rook f2 to f3 might get played now, because otherwise black's got an evil plan to advance the a pawn to a4. Yes, you come here and then come to f3. The rook's a little passive, but much less passive. And now this is not an obvious winning plan. Feels like it should be holding. White can also put the rook on somewhere like d3 or c3 and then play g4. And then if rook takes, there will be a winning rook c5 check. a5 gets played. Against rook c3, it'll be b6, so maybe rook d3. He's played something pretty quickly, so he's not... So there's maybe not too much going on in the position. Maybe he's just going to come up under and be near his opponent's pawns. They're both playing so fast, it's like they've both already figured out it's a draw. Seems it's not unpleasant to them in practice, right, Richie? Otherwise they would be slowing it down more. Do I think intuition is innate? No, I think probably most people acquire intuition by... Or I think intuition can be affected by your experience. You know, you can build up intuition. So we can give the extra half point in the standings to Wesley and so on. We're going to change this to 0.00, this eval bar here. Is the only decisive game today Caruana's win, I guess? Put So at 2 out of 4. And Faruja as well. And let's put Caruana on the top of the standings properly. There you go. Okay, so the standings right up here next to my head are correct for a moment. Any moment now, this game over here between Gukesh and Maxime will end. And then we'll adjust it. He played A4. I think because he's not allowed to offer a draw, Richie, so he's just trying to end the game by moving it forward. What you would be scared from white side, so you think there's something black can do here that would bother you? What would it be? Could have played on for 50 moves. With what move? King F5, King F3. There's nothing to be done. He couldn't even beat me in this position, so he can't beat Gukesh in this position. You can relax here. They're both relaxed. They're not thinking about their moves anymore. Rook G4, where his rook's coming from G4, you see? It left G4 on purpose. Even a computer couldn't win this position against a human, no. Nobody could win this position. Draw agreed. Even Stockfish blunders and rook endings. Not in this one, my friend. Not in this one. 12 out of 4 for Maxime would be an amazing score. Let's fix that. Well, your belief is wrong, Nickel Alloy. Do you want me to play this endgame out against Stockfish in front of you? Very important to be able to change your beliefs. It's one of the most important things a human can have. From some position like here. Copy the fen. Let's go practice. Just got, black to move. Hang on. I'm sure you all think that black is better somehow, or that it's more pleasant for black. So, how about we'll do it here, white to play? No, you guys don't know if black should do that. We'll do it here, white to play. Okay. We're going to change our view for a second. Just add a little bit more to it. Okay, so now you can see it, right? King h3 is best. We're going to do the same maneuver that Gukesh did here and bring the rook to a more active square. Get checked. Oh, rook c6, rook g3 check. So I'll just go back here. I'll just wait around. Wants to go here. Whoa, I just blundered something. I didn't even know that was possible. Now there's rook e3 check coming. Okay, I guess it's possible to blunder everything. So I guess you guys win. Let me fix the board view again. I tried to play as fast as Maxime and Gukesh were playing. Yeah, so they played it so fast, like they didn't care what they were doing. But the computer just moved around in circles and waited for me to hang something. I mean, I guess in a real game, you would spend at least 20 or 30 seconds on your moves. But Maxime and Gukesh were playing super fast. Maybe they'd given each other the look. You know? GMs have like a look that they can give each other when they're both playing for a draw. You also think the engine would win as white from the same position? Amazing nickel alloy. Amazing. Amazing. Nickel alloy. Richie claims that he could draw this against even a super strong computer's black by playing rook b4. Wait, why can't I draw arrows? Rook b4. And then a5, a4, trading that pawn. And then he can just put his king on g8. He doesn't even need to know the Philidor. You can literally just put the king on g8 and it's a draw. So, I think Richie's right. That's easier to draw as black. Shall I try to lose it as black against the engine? If I can lose this as black, that's going to be yet another ignominy for me. Okay, I'm not even going to fix the board view. I'm just going to try and do this real fast. I'll fix the board view. That's just me being a lazy jerk. Okay. Checks me. Draw. All right. Didn't manage to lose that. Okay. So score 1 for Richie there, as far as guessing stuff. Richie thought that nobody could lose that from the black side. It definitely felt easier than from the white side. And I think that concludes round 4 of the Evil Billionaire Cup for today. Right? That's all the games done. All the results in. So we can do something else for 20 minutes, yeah? Before I have to go pick up the kids. Let's switch to my other view and change the title. Quest. Of course, if you have questions about the Sinkfield Cup, you can still ask your questions while I'm working on this Blitz thing. So, we're going to go back to working on David's repertoire. What was the opening in this game? It's bishop e2, bishop e3 again, right? Oof, brutal. Okay. Let's go to this one. Very kind, Richie. How's car breaking crime in the Bay Area? I don't know, man, with Head Up Dog. I haven't broken into a car in the Bay Area myself, so I don't have any first-hand experience with that topic. Oh god, why did I play the 4-pawn attack? How am I ever supposed to learn anything if I play a different opening every single game? Oh, I played great this game, though. This game was just sparkling. Boom! Boom! Die! Die! You're concerned someone will smash the windows in your van and ruin a lot of things. Okay. Gosh, I hope not. But I guess I don't know with any certainty. Try this next game. Yet another different line. Truly, how am I ever to learn anything? By trying to learn everything, I learn nothing. One thing I learned this game, though, was to defend better when completely losing, right? I blundered this whole position here. I already have, like, no good moves because I can't defend b2. I can't get my rook out and play b3 fast enough. There's some reason why I deliberately played knight d5 instead of cd. Like, it was only going to get worse if I left it there. Forget. But anyway, I give the pawn and I just cover the dark squares with my pawn structure, and I just wait. I play passive moves. I go back and forth. I get a counter shot with this bishop d5, and I'm back in business. Now I can just torture forever. This endgame here is really tough for black because of all the split pawns. And I eventually won it really easily because they were upset as well, probably, about the turn of events. But do I ever play the same opening twice? Yeah, I don't know, head of dog. I thought of that. That's not something to resign over. Maybe cd, bishop f5 first. Sure, Richie. Show me a crazy game. Oh, this one's short. Oh, I play yet another line. I remember this game. Knight b5. That was a nice shot. And then I just won very easily. Here I won easily partly because I was going to play like some simple consolidating moves here. You know, like rook c1, knight d4. And then I was like, your knight can go here, dog. Stop being a minimalist. Like, hit him. It's a tempo, right? Grab this. Cutting off this knight from c5 and it's hanging, you know? And then on queen b6, grab the piece, you know? Just end things sometimes, you know? And then I just had to calculate one or two moves. Boom. All right. Could I have just kept the knight on d6? I suppose so, but it's better to just take all your opponent's pieces. Sometimes, you know, you try to be too pretty, too in control, that kind of stuff, you know? But just end it. Sometimes you just got to end it. All right. So that was revealing about my repertoire and the fact that there just completely wasn't a repertoire. Okay, let's see Richie's crazy game, folks, and then maybe I'll play one blitz game. You should not, Yoko Kagetsu. Jesse Cry and Kostia and I just recently discovered that we can't even win with an extra piece against a computer engine, so your 1800 opponent will surely give you many chances to come back from being down a piece. Another day, pair. We've only got time for one crazy game today. The early b5 without e6. Interesting. Kaslovich throws f4. Computer says it's a mistake. Advancing pawns in front of the king can compromise the king's safety. Oh, thanks, coach. I think Richie wanted to compromise his opponent's king safety. What should white be playing here? Richie, if you had this position again, what do you think? Maybe a4, b4, knight d5? Because they haven't put a pawn on e6. And now you're threatening to take on b4. And if they take from you, then they can't play e6 anymore. You've got knight c6 at some point to unleash the quote-unquote bad bishop. You've got rook e1. And I think the timing works out that they can't even like easily get castled with anything like this, right? I think bishop knight c6 is probably killer right here. But, you know, even simple moves like this are probably clean for white. You'd play f4 if I had it again? No. Now you wouldn't, right? Because now I told you, a4. Boom. They have to, like, basically, they're almost like, it's like +1 for white if you play a4, Richie. Like, they either, like, give you this pawn on b5 or they suffer brutal consequences. Do I play Entitled Tuesday or is it too hard? I don't play Entitled Tuesday. I don't know if it's too hard because I don't play in it to find out. Okay, but let's see your way. F4. Knight C5. E5, of course. I mean, Knight C5 really like begs for E5. It walks into that. B4. That's exciting. I love the counterplay. So you're trying to shatter their kingside, but you are developing them. FE7 also develops them. I have no idea what the best move is here for you, Richie. Do you have any idea? Well, let's see what you did, because FG7, you could follow up with like Bishop F7, Queen H5, that kind of stuff. Oh, they play CB2. We get the madness. We get the madness. Oh, interesting suggestion from chat. Rook E1. Leaving that pawn there, not letting their bishop out. I like that feel. You know, the muffin guy and the pear guy. I like that they came up with this Rook E1 idea. That's kind of a cool look. That's kind of cool. If black goes GF5, you have ideas of knight F5, but also of Queen H5 without G6, right? And if they play E6, you can just take on E6. So I love the feel of Rook E1 here. That has the feel of like a super GM just like die kind of move, right? And what's black going to do? Develop your bishop to B2, you know? Welcome to the jungle. Now you're going to die. Right? And of course the point is that here with Queen H5, it's a whole struggle to deal with this. Oh, I guess the computer's showing there's knight B3 to keep black in the game. Interesting. Okay, so I don't know what's best here, but it's a cool idea. It's just expanding our ideas. But this is what we get, folks. Richie promised us 5 queens, and now we're up to 4. Let's see where we go from here. Brilliant, it says. If the king takes, Queen H5 might even be mate in 1. So, yeah, that bishop on B3 needed to be captured at least 1 move ago, right? Okay, but the black king manages to stay alive a little bit longer, so the game goes on. Knight B5, what the heck of a canoodle is that? Apparently it's excellent. I don't even understand that move, Richie, so nice job on you. Oh, you're going to take the queen on A1. I understand it. I figured it out just in time. All right, Richie, you still owe us another queen, though. You still owe us 1 more queen. So you chased their king to a square where you could use that long diagonal between the queens. I love that. That is very nice. Clean solution. So you know that obviously you're winning, but there's still a million pieces on the board, so it's a mess. You trade one off. Your opponent threatens back rank mate, which is pretty good for somebody who's down a queen. You defend it, centralize Gyats, keep queens on the board. Defending your rook, fancy. But they can take the bishop. This was a free bishop. Now your opponent's got 2 minor pieces against the queen, which is kind of interesting. Your king's wandering. H4, excellent. What? Okay. I guess there was nothing particular to do here. No checks to give. Centralizing the queens. There comes 1 more pawn. Yes, Richie promised us a 5th queen. Sacks this queen to get that queen. F8 equals queen. Blunder. This permits knight E4 check, taking all your queens. Knight E4 exclam. No! And a draw. Oh! Ironically, getting your 3rd queen was the game blundering move. Your opponent escapes with a draw. Wow. That was a lot of queens on the A3 F8 diagonal, wasn't it, for a second there? Look at this, folks. 3 queens on the diag. Oh. Okay, let me just ask a funny question. Check here, queens. They could still play knight E4 check, right? Because if you take it, you lose that queen. Right? But if you just keep going, then they come in like this. And the queen and knight are attacking you. I don't know that you're going to escape a perpetual now, right? Because the queen can check you on D3, D2, G3, E3. I think that might be enough to be a draw, right? So when your opponent plays knight E4, you might need to play queen E4, queen F8, king G2, and try and win the queen and pawn ending by sacking that extra queen on F8, Richie. But of course, good luck anyone thinking of that during a blitz game, but that's kind of cool. That's very cool. And if you don't take the knight, maybe there's no proper way to go, right? Because the queen's going to come into one of these squares like this. What about this move? Is that move a blunder too? Because the queens are defending each other. So I can't go queen A2, D2, E2 and pick up the queen by sacking the knight because she's defended. Like G3 check. King F2. And just come back, right? And it just keeps going. King E1. Queen C3. King F2. Oh, check this out. Check this out. Check this out. Knight E4 check. Boom. Resetting up all the perpetuals, right? The point is on queen E4, I've got this fork. Oh, yeah. I saw it. I saw it. Boom. Now, that's a move right there. Knight E4. That's an advanced stalemate. That's a very advanced stalemate. This position here, black to play, people have seen that before. But has anyone seen this before with knight E4 setting up? Your king currently has like all his squares available. First you bring one of their queens to the light square, then the other one to the dark square. Hello? That's a position. Thanks, Richie. We had fun with that one. That feels somewhat new to me. All right, we got 10 minutes left before I have to get the kids. That's just enough time for one blitz game. All right? No analysis, no opening repertoire prep, just one blitz game. All right. And the goal, folks, is to play very safe, passive, boring. We'll get there. We'll get there. Amazing that your opponent kept persisting, Richie. Yeah, with their king getting checked around and you up a full queen after knight b5, queen a1. And they persisted. Oh, this is the hard thing about playing 3-2. Nobody's going to join for 3 minutes, then I'll be late to pick up my kids. In another 2 minutes, I'll have to abort my search, I think. Maybe another 1 minute. A safe King's Gambit. Nope, no King's Gambits, Ibrahim. I'm going to play D4, Knight F3, everything you don't want to see. I apologize. I'm new. Yeah, they only play 3-0 generally at my level. That's why for years I played 3-0. And apparently Jesse says my rating used to be as low as 2,000 in Blitz. I thought I languished in the 2300s. But he says 2000s. All right, looks like it's not going to be today. But lately I've been getting a game. I mean, I have to wait 20 seconds, 30 seconds maybe, but not like 5 minutes and then give up. All right. I'm sorry, folks. Jesse does say a lot of things. We're going to have to give up. It's not happening today. Let's send a raid somewhere. And then I'll go pick up the kids. We'll do some piano or whatever. And tomorrow's Friday, right? So tomorrow we're going to see the first round of the Maya International Kostia's playing. For those of you who've seen some of the recent episodes of Endgame Sensei, Endgame sparring, some opening sparring, Rach Angel and Blood Queen Anushka are going to be playing there as well, who I've been training this month. I've also been training Matt, our wonderful new social media and marketing and creative genius. So he's also going to be playing, so we're going to watch their games tomorrow. It's going to be exciting. So we've got something good in store for tomorrow. Let's send a raid to Lafong. Yeah. And I might not be able to cover all of the Sinkfield Cup these next days because we've got these dojoers playing, and I want to watch their games too, right? So it's going to interfere, and I have more of a vested interest in the people I've been coaching and training, and I think it's maybe a more interesting story for all of you. Obviously, I'll still be looking at the Sinkfield games at some point in my off time, and if there's a great game, we'll share it with you all. All right? Ta-ta for now. Be well, everybody. Be kind to each other. And if you're a billionaire, try and unbillionaire yourself as quickly as possible. Cheers.